Hey friends, welcome back to our series on unconventional marriage advice. So far in this series, I've given the advice to plan to put intentional effort into your marriage. I spoke specifically about three major areas that we need to focus on: time, truth, and in talking or communication. If you haven't watched it, please go back and check it out. It's so good. I saw a quote that prompted the unconventional advice that I want to share with you today. The quote says, "You deserve to be with someone who makes you happy, somebody who doesn't complicate your life, somebody who won't hurt you." That's a beautiful quote, isn't it? We should be happy, right? Of course, our lives should be marked by happiness. But this quote gives the idea that the perfect person will make us happy, and then marriage will be simple and easy, and we will all just get along all the time. Sis, that just isn't true. Marriage is complicated. Think about it. Two totally independent lives with independent goals and desires are being merged into one. It brings about something new and beautiful, but it comes with challenges and change. And no matter how much you love your spouse, there will be times that you hurt each other's feelings, even if it's unintentional. So, my unconventional marriage advice for you today is this: embrace change. I know it's hard to imagine that things will change, but they will. The Bible says this in Ecclesiastes 3:1. It says, "To everything there's a season and a time for every purpose under heaven." What does that mean? It means that things are going to change. It talks about a time to birth, a time to die, a time to weep, a time to laugh. There's times and seasons for everything. Just like it changes from fall to winter and spring to summer, things will change. But change is not a bad thing. Some of you immediately felt a negative connotation when I said embrace change, but much of the change in marriage is good. It's positive, it's beneficial. Think about it: a new family, new children, a new place to live, a new person, new experiences. Things should change, and for the most part, change is good. Think about just human development. If you marry your spouse in your 20s or 30s and you're together until you're in your 80s or 90s, you will have spent at least 50 years together. It is inevitable that things will change. Your mindset, your desires, your preferences, all of that change over those 50 years. Your spouses will too. Certainly, you don't want to still have the mindset of a 20-year-old when you're in your 60s, 70s, or 80s. See, marriage is like uniting two kingdoms. Your spouse was living independently, managing his life as a single person, and you were doing the same. There were rules that governed your single life that don't really work in your married life. So when you merge lives and form this new kingdom, both of you have to adopt and adapt to new dynamics. You gain the benefits with this merger because the two of you are stronger together. You gain, he gained, and collectively your lives are blessed. You have access to more resources, help, and someone to share the load with, but you still have to make changes. Sharing our daily lives means adapting to living together, allowing someone to see your vulnerabilities, and adapting to how the other person lives their life, how they cook, how they clean, how they go about their daily business. I have a friend who tells the story of how she and her husband would have a disagreement over ketchup. Yes, ketchup. One of them felt that ketchup was supposed to be put in the pantry, that it was supposed to be room temperature. The other wanted the ketchup cold and would put it in the refrigerator. They went back and forth about this for a while, and believe it or not, it was a source of contention. Until one day, my friend did something very wise. She bought 2 bottles of ketchup. One stayed in the fridge, while the other stayed in the pantry. See, my friend tried to change her husband at first. She tried to convince him that she was right about where the ketchup should go. Her husband tried to convince her that he was right about where the ketchup should go. But embracing change for her was realizing that the way she'd always done it wasn't the only way to do it, and there was a way to think outside of the box and solve the problem. It's okay that he might want the ketchup in the fridge. I can embrace change and come up with a solution. Think about if we were trying to change each other over ketchup. Imagine how we will try to change each other over everything else. I personally tried to change my husband in more ways than I have time to tell you. But one of the most significant was that I tried to change his personality. It's a little bigger than ketchup, but I hope you'll get the point. See, my husband was and still is a very social, outgoing, life of the party type guy. I'm much more quiet and reserved. You probably don't believe that because you see my face on this YouTube channel, but I am. I would get embarrassed when we would go places and he would be loud and all over the place. The life of the party. You hear me? I recall one day that we were in the parking lot before going into an event, and I said to him, okay, babe, listen, you don't have to be the life of the party when we go in here. You don't have to be the center of the attention. Let's just go in here, sit down. It's not our party, it's theirs. Let's just chill. So I'm in the car giving him the talk like he's a child before we go into this party. And then he looks at me and he says, they knew who I was when they invited me. What I heard was they accepted me for who I am. And what that implied was that I didn't. I realized at that moment that I was the person with the issue, not him. It was me. It was my insecurities. It was my problem. But I was trying to change him. And so I needed to embrace some things. So these are some powerful lessons that I learned in that experience. The first is this: embracing change means embracing differences too. See, marriage isn't about sameness. It's about oneness. Our differences, John's outgoing personality and my more reserved one, worked together for our benefit. He has helped me be brave in times that I would have rather hidden behind anything and everyone else, hidden behind the scenes. And because he helped me be brave, I'm doing some of the things that I'm doing now, like recording these types of videos. We fill each other's gaps. I've helped him to take a step back and just pause before entering a situation. Our differences have helped us to be better. When we embrace doing it a different way, seeing it from another perspective, we work to help each other in our marriage. Another thing that I've learned from this experience is that embracing change means that I have to accept that I'm not always right. There are different ways to accomplish tasks. There are different ways to see the world. There are different ways to think about things. And sometimes we need to take a step back, be open to our spouse's opinions and thoughts, and then proceed carefully. Maybe your spouse doesn't clean the kitchen like you do, but if he's willing to clean it, why not let him clean it his way without complaint so that you can relax? Embrace that change, sis. Trust me, I know that embracing change is not easy. Some of us are very resistant to change, but it's necessary for our growth. So we need to put a plan in place. Maybe we need to take baby steps, but we've got to find ways to embrace change in a healthy way. Okay, I've given quite a few examples today. I hope that you see ways to embrace change in your marriage. I'll be back next week with a final piece of unconventional marriage advice. I'll go ahead and tell you that it's about conflict in marriage. It's going to be so good. So make sure that your notifications are on and that you share this with a friend. Until next time, remember, changed wives change lives.